Welcome back to the Mecca of motorsports, Daytona International Speedway. When we come to this historic racetrack, we always have to talk about the unpredictability of how this race will unfold. But the most important thing is the prestige of winning at Daytona, like no other track in the world. Hello, everyone. Rick Allen, Phil Parsons, Michael Waltrip with you once again. We're at Daytona. The big word is unpredictability.
You know, Michael talked about it a few minutes ago. You're going to have to push. You're going to have to be pushed. You're going to have to shove. You're going to have to make pit stops. You're going to have to run 3 wide. You're going to have to run around the top of the racetrack. This is what happened last year. Johnny Sauter thought he was in perfect shape. Leading on a green-white checker, gets turned into the outside wall. Then that leads to another green-white checker. And look what happens here. Joey Coulter gets up into the catch fence here, twisting around. But what was left at the end? John King, a guy that we never dreamed would have got to victory lane. But you have to be able to adapt. And be able to adapt, John King did it best last year.
Yeah, you talk about dreaming about winning at a place. Daytona is where every short track racer across America dreams of not only racing here, but winning here. I was fortunate enough to win the Daytona 500 a couple of times. Everywhere I go, I'm the Daytona 500 champion. That's a great feeling. But Phil, pulling into victory lane in 2011 in this very race, driving a pickup truck was one of the best feelings of my whole career. I know what John King felt a year ago. I know how good it feels, and can't wait to see how this baby unfolds tonight.
Who will have the opportunity to put on their resume winning at Daytona International Speedway? We're about to find out. It's time to fire the engines. Let's go for the command.
And now for the most famous words in motorsports, please welcome your Grand Marshal, Executive Vice President of Mount Carmel Cogen, Paul Freeman.
Drivers, start your engines.
"36 trucks have come to life now. The butterflies starting to go away from these drivers as they're comfortable in these seats for the start of this race. And welcome back to Daytona International Speedway. It's the NextEra Energy Resources 250 presented by DirecTV. Trucks beginning to roll off of pit road. We talk about this historic racetrack. Let's look at the numbers. The Camping World track description.
31-degree banking here at this Daytona International Speedway, 2.5 miles. This place was built for speed.
And these trucks know how to put some speed on the board too. Qualifying right around 177 miles an hour. We're going to race at 187 or 90.
DirecTV race analysis. 36 trucks starting this race.
Our pit window is going to be somewhere around 33, 37 laps, something like that. A little bit early on that first run because of the pace laps in the qualifying.
Purse is almost $700,000, Phil, and you wouldn't take a penny of that if you just have that trophy. A win at Daytona is what it's all about.
Plenty of stories to keep our eye on tonight. For some of those, we go down to pit road and Hermie Sadler.
Well, thank you, Rick. Anytime that Kyle Busch is in a Camping World Truck Series race, that's a story in itself. But a story coming off last year was the fact that that race team was winless. Kyle Busch has a very much expanded race team here at Daytona this weekend. 3 trucks in the field. They have added depth to the organization, and they feel like coming to this weekend, the speed they have added and the people they have added will help that team get back to victory lane multiple times in 2013. Ray?
Well, Hermie, I can beat that story because Turner Scott Motorsports has 4 entries, and those guys will be running each and every race throughout the season. But I want to talk a little bit about Jeb Burton. He's a young driver that Steve Turner believes deserves a really good shot. Now, last night, right here at this racetrack, James Busher on the inside, Jeb right behind him. Jeb gave him a bit of a push. The driver that won the championship a year ago, James Busher, went and talked to him and said, dude, you got to settle down. You got to make it to the end of this race. Tonight, I'm going to keep my eye on truck number 4. Bob?
Ray, another powerhouse team here at Daytona tonight is certainly Thor Sport Racing with 3 strong trucks in the field. Matt Crafton will start 17th tonight, but the 13th row occupied by the 98 of Johnny Sauter. And then, of course, the 2-time champion here at Daytona, the only guy with more than 1 win at this racetrack, Todd Bodine. He joins them for a 3-car team, possibly only this race. Matei Air Compressors comes on board, and Todd Bodine considers this racetrack the holy grail of racing. He wants to score the hat trick here tonight. He thinks he has a pretty darn good truck to get the job done. Guys?
Thank you, Bob. We heard the statement earlier. If you're in this race, you have a shot at winning it. So who will go to victory lane tonight to kick off the 2013 season? The green flag is coming up next. Welcome back. NextEra Energy Resources 250 about to get underway, presented by DirecTV. Our aerial coverage is brought to you by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you've got to get DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV. They'll be giving us some great shots from high above. And let's ride along with a few different drivers.
We're going to ride along with a two-time champion, Todd Bodine. He's going to start that Matei Air Compressor Toyota all the way back in the 26th spot, but he can get it done.
Let's skip up to row 7 and check in on Darrell Wallace Jr. He's driving Kyle Busch Motorsports, the FiDiabetes.com Toyota. Should be a fun ride for Darrell.
We're also going to ride along with Ryan Blaney, and he is in the Cooper Standard Ford. Ford back in a big way here in the Truck Series, and he will start from the 11th spot in Brad Keselowski's truck.
Rolling off third is our defending Truck Series champion, James Busher. He's in the Rheem Chevy. 4 wins last year, won the championship. Can he repeat? That's the big question.
There's another big question. Who will be the champion of 2013? I think it's time that we all make our predictions. I will start off. I believe that the guy who finished second in the points in 2011 is going to get it done this season. That's Johnny Sauter driving the new number 98 this year. Johnny Sauter, my champion in 2013.
I think it's going to be the young man that is going to go by the same recipe that his older brother did. Austin Dillon came to this series, won Rookie of the Year, got to victory lane, and then the next year came back and won the championship. I think Ty Dillon is going to do the same thing. He won last year, Rookie of the Year. I think he's going to get that championship this year.
Phil, no one's ever repeated as Truck Series champion, but I think that all changes in 2013. James Busher has that fire in him that I think propels that truck to back-to-back championships in 2013 and 12.
Well, guys, I think it's going to be Joey Coulter for a couple reasons. Number one, I think there's been a renewed effort by Kyle Busch to get this Truck Series teams back up front. I think Joey Coulter has also proven he can win, but he also knows how to race these races, get to the end, and get some good finishes as well. And plus, he got his job partly because he roughed up Kyle Busch at Kansas a couple years ago. It's Joey Coulter. Ray?
Hermie, I'm going to go with the numbers. How about a 4-time champion who has 51 wins? A year ago, Ron Hornaday didn't win. This year, he holds the trophy in Homestead. Bob?
Ray, you guys took a lot of good drivers, but I'm going with a dark horse. That man, the rookie, the driver of the 29, Ryan Blaney, became the youngest winner ever in the Camping World Truck Series 1 year ago. And that man is his car owner, the series champion in the Sprint Cup Series. Brad Keselowski told me before the start of this race that this kid is the real deal and that he can win the championship.
Well, those were our championship predictions. There's your reigning 2012 Sprint Cup champion as one of the owners in the Camping World Truck Series. Now let's focus on 100 laps from Daytona International Speedway. 250 miles to kick off the 2013 season. Out in front of the field, Brennan Newberry has the lead. He has the pole. Green flag in the air. We're underway. 2 by 2, all the trucks getting up to speed as they enter turn number 1.
I think Ron Hornaday has already pulled up to the tailgate of Justin Lofton. They got a little momentum on the outside.
They'll use that 2-truck tandem to push away and grab the lead. Lofton in front. Hornaday shoving them from behind.
2 trucks working the outside right now. Justin Lofton in front of Ron Hornaday. Those 2 have now separated themselves and down to the double yellow line.
That was textbook by Ron Hornaday. He pushed Justin Lofton to the front, put those trucks 1-2. Great first lap. Whoa.
Ooh. Line beginning to form on the bottom. 3 wide behind them as they come out of turn number 4.
You're going to see a lot of abrupt moves like that, Phil, because these guys can gain on each other so fast. They've got to turn those trucks to the right and left to keep from making contact at times. It gets very, very tense.
These trucks punch such a big hole in the air. The closing rate is something that we've never even seen before. So fast, so much faster than the cars.
James Busher has his teammate behind him on that outer line, trying to work that second line to see if they can catch up to the bottom line.
You're You can see all these guys maneuvering, trying to get in the right line. Matt Crafton peeks out to make it 3 wide on the outside.
3 distinct lines now working their way around the 2.5-mile super speedway.
Now you remember, you would think we would just try to get us some laps in, right? We got to get to 100, but
don't fool them, Michael. Come on.
I got to quit thinking for myself and put my helmet on and say, let's go, baby.
John West Townley in the 7 this year for Red Horse Racing.
Look at those trucks dancing around on the bottom. Everybody in the bottom wants to keep the left sides right on the double yellow line.
James Busher creeping down to that bottom line, trying to get a side draft. They work their way through 1 and 2. Down the backstretch they go now. It's Justin Lofton still out in front of Ron Hornaday. Just behind them, the 51 of Kyle Busch.
See Brennan Newberry, the 14, our pole sitter, on the inside in a side-by-side battle with Busher for 4th.
Ty Dillon right on the back of Newberry's truck. The pole sitter, 23 years old. This team is reorganized, teammates with Ron Hornaday, and both those trucks solidly inside the top 5 here.
You know, one thing we don't talk about a lot, Michael, is it's not that easy to see out through the truck in front of you. So you don't really know what's going on in front of the truck that's in front of you.
No, you can't tell at all, and that's why things get so crazy. If something goes wrong, you don't know what went wrong, and by the time your spotter gets in your ears and says trouble, you're usually about windshield deep in that trouble.
Remember, the pole was won earlier at 50.797 seconds per lap. We're already at 48.27 seconds per lap for our race leader.
You're over 186 miles an hour in these pickup trucks.
190 by Brendan Gaughan just flashed by. So over 190 miles an hour, they're turning in a giant pack here at Daytona.
Listen to those trucks sing as they go by. Wow. That's a storm of brewing there.
First 10 miles of this race already in the books. Busher still trying to get that outside line moving. He's got Miguel Paludo behind him in 32.
You can go 10 miles in a hurry when you're traveling at 190 miles an hour, right?
It happened very quickly.
Right now, we essentially have a 35 truck lead pack.
And
now, about in the back of that pack, trucks are diving out and making it 3 wide, trying to make some ground.
Ron Hornaday holding on to that second spot, Ray.
He did a great job of pushing Lofton at the initial start. That allowed that line to go to the bottom. But Hornaday said, I don't even have to push him. If I get real close, I can feel the air. He said, we've got 2 trucks that run great together.
And guys, remember at Talladega a couple years ago, Ron Hornaday from the drop of the green flag pushed his then teammate Mike Wallace and pushed him all the way to victory.
You know, and that's a great feeling too. If Ron's able just to squeeze that air up against the tailgate of the lead truck of Lofton, that's a pretty safe way to draft. If they're able to keep the lead by not shoving on each other, then that's a good way to log some laps. And you want to log them in the front. Man, this is a log jam behind them. No fun to be in the middle of this mess.
There's Jeb Burton over to the inside of James Busher, our defending champion, still trying to make that outside line work. He's got Miguel Paludo behind him. Ty Dillon looks like he's going to move out into that second line, see if they can get the second line going with Ty Dillon in front.
Wow, that was dancing around too on the inside.
That's a bold move by Dillon, sitting there safely in line just outside the top 5. Decided to join that top side and see if they could make something happen. Busher right on the bumper of Ty Dillon.
Bunch of Chevrolets lined up right now on the outside.
Giving him a shove. Again, Chevrolet has never won at Daytona.
That is amazing. We've been coming here since the year 2000.
I bet they've been leading on the last lap a few times.
There has been some amazing finishes here at Daytona, and we would expect nothing less tonight.
Saw that truck of Ty Dillon's move around there. Had James Busher right against his tailgate.
Busher very aggressive with the push to Dillon, and they're making it work, driving up beside Hornaday off turn 4, now going for the lead.
Now that second line is moving. Ty Dillon trying to take the lead away as they come into the tri-oval. That time by Ty Dillon, your race leader.
What about that decision by Dillon? Safe to run down on the low line, but you're not going to lead the race down there from the 6th spot. He went up high. He saw that top lane making some ground, decided to join them, put his truck in the lead.
Still has a push right now from James Busher, and James Busher, Ty Dillon is waiting to move down. Once James Busher is able to clear that front, now he is. You see him move down, but James Busher wasn't quite able to clear him.
You see the 10 on the left side of your screen. Jennifer Jo Cobb makes the hard left turn. She'll go back into the garage. We're learning a lot of lessons right now. the outside line can move. It just did it with Ty Dillon and the help of James Buescher. Now those two are running 1 and 2 side by side for the lead.
What about Dillon? He bailed out on Buescher, but James said, I think I can still hang here.
See Lofton right up against the tailgate of that 3 truck, pushing him on the inside.
I'm telling you, Phil, this is very risky to start this stuff on lap 5 or 6 and try to think you're going to do that all night long without causing an accident. It's going to be tough.
Hermie Sadler.
You talked about the 31 of Buescher making his way to the front, pushing the 3 of Ty Dillon. Also, veteran spotter Jeff Dickerson helping Buescher talk about bagging back up to the 32 of Paludo also to get that push. But really interesting to watch the spotter, listen to the spotter, talk to the driver about it's not only what's going on in front of you, but also making sure you keep that push behind you to get to the front.
Lofton falls out of line, and that drops him back quickly. Nobody wants to get behind him and help him out. We see James Buescher move to the outside. He and his teammate are going to try to make that outside line move again.
3 wide in the middle.
How about Lofton? Came across the start-finish line second last time, decided he was going to make a move for the lead. He's fallen all the way back to the middle of this lead pack.
Yeah, Lofton almost outside the top 15 after running in the top 3. 10 laps. Amazing. Side by side early for the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. Bump drafting in packs tonight. Crossing the start-finish line, working lap 14 from Daytona International Speedway in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series season opener. Ty Dillon out in front of Ron Hornaday. Now, Ty Dillon had some help from the 31 of James Buescher to get out front. Once he got out front, he didn't leave enough room for the 31 to get in behind him. And so the truck that was behind him was the 6 of Justin Lofton. But as he got out front, he had a little bumping and wasn't too sure he wanted any of that. We listened into his radio.
On you there. Be careful. He's right on you. I don't like this guy pushing us. Wave him off if you can. He don't need pushing us.
Saw the hand go up in the air.
And you know, when Dillon got the lead, he shucked Lofton. He dove to the bottom and got Lofton off of him. Picked up drafting help from Hornaday. I didn't understand exactly his tactics because he moved over so quickly. But now it's clear he didn't want him. He didn't want Justin Lofton pushing on him.
Bob Dillner.
Justin Lofton not making any friends out there. He's back in line right now, and Todd Bodine is the truck directly in front of him. So the 6 truck has been trying to push that 13. Well, Todd radioed into his crew and said, whoever is the spotter of the 6 car, tell him to get him off of my butt right now. He is pushing me, and there's nowhere to go. All we need to do is ride right now. So Todd Bodine, the maturity of the veterans, say we need to settle in and make it to the finish, Ray.
I couldn't agree with Todd anymore. Phil and I were talking during break. I hope we make it back from break before these guys get a little bit jiggy because they're all over the place.
And the problem is you don't want to push in the middle. If you're out front right now, if Ron Hornaday wants to get against Ty Dillon and push, that's fine. But you can't push a truck in front of you when he's got somebody right in front of him. You'll push him into him.
And exactly, Phil, also alongside, the slightest miscue with your push will turn that truck sideways, and all of a sudden he's into another truck.
See the push working again. Hornaday on the back bumper of the 3 of Ty Dillon. Those two hook up as they go into turn number 3, then break apart in turn number 3.
You see how well that worked. The problem is, though, those guys on the outside get lined back up, then they're going to drive right up beside you. I think right now Ty would love to be out there with Ron Hornaday by themselves, like they are, but I don't know that that's going to stay there like that.
This is as much as I've seen that outside line hang in there early in the going here at Daytona, Phil. Usually you get a line around the bottom and those guys just log some laps, but that outside has absolutely worked. We watched Dillon drive to the lead up there. And now Buescher is hanging right there in the top 5 on the outside. So 2 distinct lines that are both working well.
Hey, Ray, there's a truck that I've noticed has almost lost this lead pack. The 88 of Matt Crafton's all the way back in 25th.
Yeah, and Rick, just a moment ago, he was right up there in 10th with his teammate Johnny Sauter, and he said, guys, it is getting too crazy up here. A bunch of these guys are out of control. I got to get out. So he waved his hand. Now you see Sauter dropping back, too. I think the Thor Sport trucks may be saying, let's get out of the hornet's nest for a while. There's Crafton's Slim Jim truck way in the back.
Yeah, we've seen them do that before here. We've seen them employ that strategy before. Sometimes it's worked, sometimes it hasn't.
Once again, that outside line has made the move, catching up to the inside line. James Busher leading that outside line. We're riding along with the 29 of Ryan Blaney, one of our young drivers, young guns in this series.
Ryan doing a nice job right around the top 10, just outside the top 10. Of course, that can change in any second.
It changes every lap.
Bob Dillner.
Ryan Blaney, just 19 years old, of course, the son of NASCAR Sprint Cup Series driver Dave Blaney. I spoke to him right before he climbed in that truck, and I said, okay, how are you feeling? Do you have butterflies? Are you excited? He said, it's like an adrenaline rush. But just moments ago in this pack, and he's on the outside line right now, he said, man, a lot of these drivers out here are scaring me right now because they are all over the place. Blaney told me he wanted to be on that yellow line on the bottom groove and not trapped on the outside.
You feel like if you're on the inside, you have a little bit of an escape route. You've got the apron if something happens. Right now, with all these trucks running so close together, something happens in front of you, it's almost impossible to miss it.
Side by side once again for the lead. James Busher on the high side, Ty Dillon on the inside. Stay with us. Tomorrow I'll get more live Supercross action right here on Speed, and you know it's going to get heated as the world's greatest riders take flight in Hotlanta. Live coverage begins tomorrow 7:30 Eastern right here on Speed. Things getting hot here in Daytona. They stay 2 by 2. Phil, you'd mentioned the pack now breaking down to about 23, at least that lead pack, 23 trucks in it. Out in front still, Ty Dillon has Ron Hornaday all over his back bumper. Kyle Busch running third in that inside line. The outside line has continued to work back and forth, led by that 31 of James Busher.
You talked about 23 trucks in that front pack, Rick. There's a pack of about 7 that's just hanging out back there, watching this front group, making sure if something goes wrong, they've got enough room to avoid the melee.
One guy we focused on, he's been darting in and out, and that number 4 is Jeb Burton, Hermie.
Yeah, Rick, he is a rookie here at Daytona. He is the son of Ward Burton, Daytona 500 champion. He's getting some advice from a couple different people. Number one, his teammate. We see right here on the racetrack, the Ford truck sliding up the racetrack a little bit and causing some of the drivers outside of him to be a little bit concerned. His teammate, James Busher, called in the radio and said, tell the Ford to try to keep the truck a little bit straighter down the straightaway and tucked in a little bit closer to help him in the draft. Another note, they want him to stay on the bottom of the racetrack for now. Bob?
Todd Bodine running right around the 15th slot right now, but a little bit of a debate between Todd and his crew chief, Jared Prince. Basically, Jared got on the radio and said, Todd, I think it's time for us to move back with our teammates, Matt Crafton and Johnny Sauter, and try to stay out of trouble. Well, Todd strongly disagreed on the radio. He feels he needs to stay in that pack and stay with the leaders right now. Unfortunately, it looks like it's the danger zone right now.
Well, yeah, there's not a lot to gain, Bob, if you're riding in the middle of that pack. I don't blame the crew chief for saying, maybe let's bail. If you can't get to the front, why risk it? So there's a lot of different agendas that drivers will use to try to win this race. And so far, everything is sanitary, but it's looked like it's been on the edge a couple of times.
And the other factor that's going to come into play here is green flag pit stops. Those are coming up right on the other side of the break. Quarterback yellow flag has come out. Scott Riggs in the 92 looks as though his engine has expired, but it was only a one-truck incident and doesn't look like any fluid was put down on the track. But that puts the field behind the pace truck and all following the number 3 of Ty Dillon as they make the hard left turn onto pit road. Let's go to pit road and Bob Dillner.
Ron Quiroga right now running in the 8th spot. The 3-time Mexico champion going to bring his truck down to pit road. 2 tires and fuel. They are going to wait on the second can of fuel to make sure that gets in there because this could turn out to be a fuel mileage race here. So Ron Quiroga racing really well so far at Daytona. Hermie?
Yeah, Burton hits his pit stall a little bit slow getting into the box. Better safe than sorry. His truck's a little bit tight. They want to leave it that way for right now. 2 tires, fuel, no adjustments. Ray?
The Bass Pro Shop Chevrolet is here. Ty Dillon's getting some fuel. They did right side tires. He will not be the first one off pit road. They want to make sure they pack it full of fuel. Tight finish as Crafton came in right there. But the 3 will be the second truck off. Looks like Kyle Busch with a good pit stop too.
Now the race off of pit road. They want to make sure not to speed coming on or off pit road.
Caroga had trouble with it, getting the right front tire off. There's Scott Riggs. Engine expired. He felt something go wrong over in the corner, moved way up to the top of the racetrack.
There's Jason White. He got his bubble truck in a bind on pit road, had to pull straight into the wall. The team went ahead and serviced Jason. Busy pit road, and you can see the result of how crowded it was. That's James Busher. Problems on his truck.
Working on the left rear of our defending champion's truck. Take a look at why.
Darrell Wallace Jr. I think missed his pit and tried to pull back out on the pit road and made contact with that left rear quarter panel of James Butcher. Here's Darrell right here. You see him miss his pit.
Going around. Watch me. Come on. All the way up to the grass. All the way.
When you pit and something goes wrong, that leads to more problems generally.
And that's what we saw. Chaos early in this one on pit road. Green flag back in the air, back underway. We've got Ty Dillon on the inside. Right behind him, that 18 of Joey Coulter. Those two work together. Contact as they go into one.
Coulter was pushing Dillon, and he got into the side. Is that Ron Hornaday up on the outside?
That's the 14 of Brendan Newberry who was up there.
Joey Coulter restarted on the outside as soon as they got past the start-finish line. Jumped down to the inside to get behind Ty Dillon.
That was a pretty significant contact there. It'll be interesting to see if Coulter's truck sustains some damage.
So now you see the pack separating early on this restart.
Yeah, for about a lap, Rick. These boys have got a head of steam back there, and they'll suck down on that front group like you won't believe.
That front group stays side by side. That's going to put such a big hole. Those trucks behind them are going to draw right back up to them.
Ty Dillon, Joey Coulter 1 and 2. Johnny Sauter in the 98. Working on the outside of that 33 of John King.
One thing we didn't mention that Johnny Sauter in that 98 had to go to the back of the pack for the start of the race for unapproved adjustments after qualifying.
Darrell Wallace Jr. after some problems on pit road started.
A little squirrely again. The 14 got a shove and got pushed out of the way.
Looked like Todd Bodine.
Come to here. You're 3 wide.
13 truck of Todd Bodine got in the back of the 14 of Brendan Newberry, probably just trying to push him, but turned him sideways, and he had to get to the outside.
You know, as drivers, there's just some guys you don't want pushing you. You figure that out early, and you don't change your mind very often.
Working lap 32 now of 100. Take another look at this restart on the right side of your screen.
You can see that Coulter's just pushing on the right rear of Ty Dillon and just drove into the back of Brendan Newberry's truck. Watch this.
And it looked like they had separated.
About 5 passenger lane.
Went up into the. You got up into that 14 of Newberry.
Yeah, Newberry came down a little bit too.
Right now, bud. No.
Let me just explain something to you. That was running for the lead, and they almost crashed. You can do it anywhere in this kind of racing. It's so precise. You have to drive one little mistake, and you can take out half the field.
Now it's Todd Bodine in the 13 on the high side of the racetrack. He's got Jeb Burton behind him in the 4. Those two trying to make that outside line go. The 14 of Brendan Newberry has tucked in behind the 4 of Jeb. We saw the help from Todd Bodine on the 14, got him loose.
That's the kind of help you don't want right there. His bump draft to the back of Newberry didn't go well, and Brendan did a great job of hanging on to his truck. Watch how abruptly that thing swings out of line. Luckily, he hung onto that truck. That's inside the top 5, Phil.
And that's dead down the middle of the straightaway.
These trucks, you know, don't take for granted just because you're on the straightaway it's okay to push. These trucks are a handful to drive when the trucks aren't loaded up in the corners. Sometimes a push through the corner is more manageable than one on the straightaway.
Miguel Paludo in the 32 on the inside of that 4 of Jeb Burton. Trying to make that outside line go is Todd Bodine in the 13. Bob Dillner.
No tires on Todd Bodine's number 13 truck during that pit stop. Now, Todd is the leader in that line, and before the race, he told me in last night's drafting session, that car did not lead, that truck did not lead that well. He's a better pusher, so he doesn't want to be exactly where he's at right now, but he's got no choice, right?
And Bob, on lap 27, Todd's teammate Matt Crafton came down pit road and went with fuel only, excuse me. They didn't take tires, but then his crew chief Junior Joyner said, we may have just made a mistake. Why don't you come back down? When they came back down on lap 28, they put 4 tires on that number 88, so he's in a different sequence. Most of the guys on my end of pit road had gone with 2. Crafton has 4. Hermie?
Well, Ray, our champion James Busher made a little bit of a mistake missing his pit coming down pit road. He got a little bit of damage after some contact on pit road. I just talked to crew chief Michael Shelton. He said the only thing we lost really was a little bit of track position. Not worried about the performance of the truck, but slightly worried about being in 20th instead of in the top 5.
Yeah, back of the pack, maybe might not be the best place to be right now as we see all of the dicing and darting taking place in front of them.
I'm not sure it's safe anywhere in that pack. From the, as you mentioned, from the very front to the back of that pack.
I'm not even real sure I feel comfortable up here in this booth. I mean, watching these guys and knowing what it's like out there, it's so intense. You've got to be right up on the edge of your driving game to make these moves. You can see just changing lanes, squeezing in line, taking chances, pushing, and we're only a third of the way through this baby.
We saw Todd Bodine in that 13 duck in line on the bottom of the racetrack behind the 32 of Miguel Paludo now. So now that outside line not being led anymore by the 13 of Bodine, but the inside line definitely being led by Ty Dillon. Driving that Chevrolet. Can he bring Chevrolet its first win at Daytona? Beautiful aerial pictures being provided tonight by DirecTV.
Pretty nice ride for Ty Dillon, right? Took a chance, dove up on the outside, rode that outside lane to the lead, and has just sat there ever since. Joey Coulter's doing a nice job of pushing Ty along. We saw Ryan Blaney, you see in the first truck there on the outside, make a bold move to the outside, but stalled out. He's got Jeb Burton behind him, and they just haven't made any progress yet.
So we have 36 trucks that have been working their way around this track. And we lost one. Jennifer Jo Cobb went to the infield, as well as the 92 of Scott Riggs has an issue. So 34 trucks, which is a perfect situation for a bunch of rednecks to enjoy this race. And I think Hermie's caught up with one, haven't you, Hermie?
I sure have. And race fans that are tuning in to our race tonight, immediately following the checker flag, you can see the season premiere of All You Faster Than a Redneck. John Reap, I saw Scott Riggs go back to the garage, and you took off running after him. What's going on with that?
You know, I used to work at a Goodyear, so I was going to help them change the tire, but they shooed me away. I don't think they want my help.
Tell our race fans that are watching and going to watch your show, what can they expect to see on speed tonight?
You're going to see a lot of American-made muscle cars take down some foreign imports like the good Lord intended. It's good racing. I got a stable of redneck. I call them a mullet mafia, and we take on foreign imports to a real race on track. Door to door, 3 laps, 3 rounds. If the punks win, they get $10,000 of my cash.
It sounds like a lot of fun. Race fans tonight, immediately following the checker flag tonight, tune in. All You Faster Than a Redneck. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Did he say like the good Lord intended?
He did.
And he calls them punks. They're punks if they're driving foreign cars.
Oh, that's going to be fun. Again, that's right after tonight's truck race.
John's from Hickory. He's from Hickory, North Carolina. He said you might be a redneck if the name of your town you're from has the word hick in it. So he said this is the perfect job for me, hosting this show.
Closing in on the halfway point of the first race of the season for the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. We've already had our first pit stop. One caution has slowed the pace down just a bit, but it's Ty Dillon out in front of Joey Coulter, Kyle Busch, Justin Lofton, and Ron Hornaday. They're your top 5, all tucked to the bottom of this racetrack.
Man, I took a break there, listened to John Reap, and relaxed a bit. Now let's get back to this action. It's very, very close, tight quarters racing. And I'm just telling you, Phil, these guys they're setting on a ticking clock, a time bomb. Every lap that goes by, the intensity ratchets up. They know what they've got to do in order to win the race. They've got to start experimenting, pushing on each other, and that just means that action's going to pick up. They can't race like this for 100 laps without someone making a mistake. It's humanly impossible.
It really is. David Starr very, very wisely moves to the outside of the racetrack. His truck not up to speed. That's a backup truck. He gets out of the way to the high side. If you get out of the way on the low side, then everyone has to go around you. Sometimes that causes some problems. David did a nice job.
I know it might be surprising to hear this, but there are 32 trucks on the lead lap, and right now they're separated by 2.5 seconds. 2.5 seconds separating 32 trucks on the track.
They're all right there.
Bob Gilder.
Ryan Blaney leading that outside line right now in that 29 truck. Very interesting to listen to his radio. Joey Meyer is his spotter. Joey is normally the spotter for Brad Keselowski in the Cup Series, and he's like an air traffic controller right now for Ryan Blaney, telling him what the inside line and the outside line is doing right now. The only complaint from Ryan Newman is that his feet are getting a little hot inside the cockpit of that truck. Hermie?
Yeah, Bob, the 18 of Joey Coulter, a solid run so far tonight, up in P2 as they run. Just talked to his guys. Joey has said very little about the truck. Obviously, he likes his spot on the racetrack. He really trusts the 3 truck of Ty Dillon and what they got going on. Likes being in front of Kyle Busch right now. They took 2 tires and no adjustments on their pit stop. Ray?
Well, Hermie, there's no question about it that super speedway racing can be a thinking man's game. We're not quite to halfway, but a lot of guys figuring out who they like to race with. And so far, we've seen some of those guys up front pushing, shoving. Let's tune in to the Mad Vapes number 6 and listen to what Justin Lofton had to say on his radio.
No, Ron, I have nowhere to go. Be using him later. That's our dancing partners, the 9 later. We just got to keep him away from the 3.
It's not just the drivers, it's also the spotters up on the top. That's Eddie Sharp, truck owner of the number 6, and those guys do a lot of communicating. And Ron Hornaday has Bob Jeffries calling the shots for him, so the spotters could play a big role in this later tonight.
What a nice job by Ryan Sieg. Got turned down sideways, had to run across the apron and straighten it out.
Great catch.
Straightened it out right in the middle of the pack, too.
Just outside him, the 29 also had to catch his breath. Ryan Blaney, a few laps ago, also with an issue.
What happened to the 39 of Sieg? Did he hit the apron, Phil?
Looks like he just got a little bit loose.
Yeah.
It wasn't because the 32 of Poluto got into the back of him. Just got a little bit loose there at the exit of 4.
You got a perfect storm there. The 29 truck of Ryan Blaney out on the outside of Sieg, making that truck a little bit free anyway, and it turned sideways with him. If that's what all these guys are fighting as we get on out, you know, a lot of them only took right side tires on that first caution, so those left side tires are getting worn. If these trucks are getting loose, that just puts the degree of difficulty up even higher.
Watch how much they're moving around here.
All over the place. It's too wide, but it is intense too wide. Ty Dillon still out in front. Sunday NASCAR race day. Get you fired up for the most anticipated Daytona 500 ever. Get the ultimate pre-race setup as NASCAR's biggest stars and the Gen 6 cars prepare to hit the high banks for the Great American Race. NASCAR Race Day, fueled by Sunoco, Sunday, 9 a.m. Eastern only on Speed.
Gen 6 cars, Danica Patrick on the pole, much anticipated, trying to figure out how to win this race. Kevin Harvick seems to have a pretty good grasp on things, but
Kyle's not too bad either, Kyle Busch.
Worldwide interest in this Daytona 500. It has definitely sparked a lot of intrigue.
You know, and it's not just because I'm in it. There's other storylines.
There are other storylines beside you. But I'm glad you made it.
Oh, thank you. This race is wearing me out, boys. I just don't see how they can continue to dart and weave every lap that goes by. I feel like I said, these tires are getting more and more worn. We're 7-8 laps away from pitting again. The caution doesn't come out. Getting to pit road is a real challenge. You got this big pack of trucks. If everybody doesn't know who's doing what, you can run into the back of another truck. We've seen them wreck trying to pit before.
And remember, we talked about the young guns at the top of the show. A lot of these guys haven't made that many green flag pit stops. Maybe the first time they've ever made green flag pit stops, especially at a place like Daytona when you're trying to go from 185 miles an hour down to about 55.
We've been watching the 4 and the 29, and these two have ridden side by side for numerous laps, and it has been extremely close between the two. As a matter of fact, when the 4 was behind the 29, it got the 29 loose, made him have to jump out of line.
Ryan Blaney's 19 years old, and he's going to age quite a bit during this event. The guy that was pushing on him, Jeb Burton's only 20. We talked about the young guns in the opening. There's young guns all over this field. Look at the cat leading.
Yeah, only Ty Dillon, just turning 20 years old, closing in on his 21st birthday.
Yeah, that within a week or so he's going to turn 21. But what a birthday present would be to take home a trophy from Daytona.
How about getting a win at Daytona before you're 21? That would be special.
And remember, there are 9 drivers in this field that have never competed in trucks at Daytona.
And they're weaving a lot.
They are moving around the racetrack.
Tim George Jr. a solid job. Haven't talked about him. He's got his truck right up in that lead pack. New team for Tim. And you see him there at the top of the screen in that Applebee's truck.
Yeah, John King, our most recent winner here at Daytona, defending winner, right behind him.
We haven't seen him tucked up bumper to bumper yet, but the other thing we haven't seen is anyone overheating. So apparently giving that little bit of a cushion in between these trucks is enough that we're not seeing overheating out of these trucks.
And that will go away the later it gets. People will start getting closer and closer and pushing more and more. We're really interested to see if they can pull off. They're pulling off synchronized driving right now. Let's see if they can pull off synchronized pitting. The caution flag doesn't come out. Oh, look at Brendan trying to go up the middle.
There's no room. Here we go. Right as they cross the stripe, we have issues. 77's caught up. Chris Fontaine to the 84. Now the 8 of Max Gresham. The 5 of Tim George Jr. The 93 we
Keep it rolling if you can.
Jason White caught up. The 62 of Brendan gone.
There's the 77 of Romain Quiroga.
07 of Chris Cockrum involved in this.
Chris Fontaine always runs so well here.
Brendan
Newberry. Just wasn't quite enough for him. Looked like Brendan decided to go up through the middle, and the hole closed up on him.
And we've watched Brendan this whole race put himself in a position to go up the middle, and he had made it work until then, and there just simply wasn't room to make that move.
Second caution comes out at Daytona. Season opener for the Camping World Truck Series.
There's Armand Quiroga doing such a great job in one of the Red Horse trucks, and a lot of damage to that Net 10 wireless Toyota.
This was a mid-pack accident that caught up quite a few trucks. Chris Fontaine, one of those in the 84, as he'll limp back to pit road. A lot of sparks from the right front of that truck.
A lot of damage to Brendan Newberry's pole-sitting Chevrolet.
Got into the outside wall. A lot of damage to the right side of Newberry. And there you see the 8, Max Gresham.
Max just barely turned into the outside wall, but you could see significant damage to the right front of that truck. And here's Tim George Jr. We talked about a good solid run for Tim, but now he's tore his left front all to pieces, and he's doing more damage now with that tire coming apart. Look at Brendan just trying to squeeze in that little bit of a hole. And
looked like Brendan didn't know he was there, didn't know he was trying to make it 3 wide, go up through the middle, and Brendan came down a little bit, and then it's just around. There's a 30 of Ryan Truex Jr.
Look at Jason White
trying to
slip and sliding. Is he going to make his way through there? Yes.
Yeah, there's a
little bit of contact, but it looked like he pretty much got through. He's been to pit road, not a lot of damage. Look at him try to sneak in this little hole.
Really trying to go there, nowhere to go.
Cameraman took off running.
Yeah, got squeezed down into the 77 Armand Quiroga. Just ran out of room there. There's Brendan getting into the 77, turning him right.
Watch the Thor Sports trucks. There's Johnny Sauter slipping through. Look at Matt Crafton just sliding through there. So close. And a great job by Jason White, locking it down, getting slowed up. People just slipping out of his way.
33 of John King got in the back of the 5 of Tim George Jr. That's what turned him around. You see the 60 Dakota Armstrong trying to get a hole here. Looks if he's going to make contact, maybe a slight bit of contact with that South Point Chevrolet.
See Timothy Peters just on the bottom of your screen, really slowed down and made his way through this crazy accident.
Quite a few trucks caught up in this one. Brings a caution out. We had passed the halfway point. Things were getting even more intense. We didn't know if it could get more intense than what we had seen in the first half. But this brings out the caution. Welcome back. Our second caution happens with the big one. Right in the middle of the pack. We're 56 laps into this 100 lap race. And some of the trucks getting ready to make their way onto pit road. See the pace truck bringing the field around once again, and Ty Dillon brings that 3 onto pit road, and the rest of the field behind him. Bob Dillner.
Ryan Blaney will bring his 29 truck onto the attention of his pit crew right now. That truck just way too loose. They're going to put 2 rounds on the track, par 4 tires on this pit stop. They got to get that truck tightened up just a little bit. Hermie?
Harold Holly wanted to put left sides on Joey Coulter. They cannot do that because they have to fix the fender brace on the right side. So 2 right side tires and fuel for Coulter. Ray.
It'll be right sides for a second time for Ty Dillon. They are putting gas into this Bass Pro Shop Chevrolet. He has led 50 laps already. If he leads one more, he'll be guaranteed the bonus points. He peels out. He'll be the first off pit road. Justin Lofton right on his tail.
Race off of pit road. Here in the 27 of Jeff Agnew missed his pit, but he did a great job of missing the accident.
Yeah, one way to get off the pit road quick.
Take another look.
You spoke of Agnew. You see him in the orange truck down on the bottom. A bunch of these guys right in there. Matt Crafton, a great job of slipping through there. Look at Agnew up and around Tim George Jr. He was right in the middle of that wreck and was able to drive through it.
How about Ross Chastain, the blue and white truck? He's going to spin after he gets by the wreck when it got down in the grass. Darrell Wallace Jr., the 54 truck, down through the grass, does a nice job.
And look at John West Townley there. He just slowed his truck down enough to where he waited till all the accidents slid down the bank and made it through.
Brendan Gaughan just tried to get that 62 truck in a spot where he shouldn't have been at this time in the race.
Yeah, well, there was a hole there, but as he closer he got to it, it got closed up on him.
Check it up. Get down. Get down. Get down. Get down. Get down. Come on, hustle. Outside. 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 That's fucking good time.
And I got to apologize for that. Obviously, live television, a little bit of emotion.
Look at this mess.
Yeah.
Talking about emotion. When you clear those babies, Phil, look in the mirror and see what's back there, and you made it out the other end. That's a great feeling.
And they don't handle that well in the dirt either.
James Bushard, your defending champion, back off of pit road. Welcome back. Beautiful blimp shot once again, courtesy of DirecTV. You call yourself a sports fan, you've got to get DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV. The wild one on the back stretch, involved in that incident. Dusty Davis, Tim George Jr., Chris Cockrum, Max Gresham, Brendan Newberry, Jeff Agnew. Got a little bit of roughed up there. Ryan Truex, and the next 7. John King, your defending race winner, involved.
And there's about
right in the middle of that mess.
4 or 5 guys that just were involved in it, but were able to dodge all the melee and make it through it. One guy that did a good job getting through was James Busher. But Hermie, they were under the hood of that truck. What all was going on?
Well, Michael, they changed the carburetor, and it was not necessarily a performance issue with the carburetor, but the throttle linkage kept sticking on the racetrack, and they didn't know exactly what the quick fix would be, so they decided to take the entire carburetor off, put a new carburetor on. So they got that done, got him back on the racetrack. They came back in the pits and took 4 tires and topped off with fuel. So we'll see if James Busher can make his way back to the front. Bob?
Brendan Gaughan inside the pit area here at Daytona. Brendan, take me through that wreck. What did you see?
I mean, I screwed up. I put myself back there messing up on pit road. But
take a look at the replay right here.
You know, he had left the hole about 5 times. I'm at his tire. At that point, you got to concede the spot. You know, I mean, Newberry, he kept leaving it open in the middle. I wanted to get to the middle, and he came down on top of us. I mean, it's just one of those deals where it was my fault because I had a rookie on one side, a rookie on the other, and I was trying to get back to where I was before the pit stop. And when you hit a guy in the tire, I mean, I can't do anything more except be right there.
40 laps of racing to go. Green flag back in the air. Ty Dillon on the inside. Getting a push from the 51 of Kyle Busch.
Look at them lined up on the outside. Ron Hornaday, the 9 truck, is pushing, trying to get those guys by him, and he has pushed Justin Lofton to the lead.
Just in front of Hornaday at 98 of Johnny Sauter, giving a shove to the 6 of Justin Lofton. Those 2 trying to clear the 3 of Ty Dillon to see if they can get down to the bottom of the track. And it looks as though he's going to hang out the 6 of Justin Lofton, and it's going to be the 98 of Johnny Sauter that'll take over the lead.
What a great move by Sauter. He was pushing Lofton.
Lofton got some help from Hornaday, but he almost got sideways.
Oh, he got sideways. He almost spun out.
Johnny Sauter goes all the way to the back of the pack at the start of the race, and in 60 laps, he's up leading.
How fast did that all take place? We were under caution a minute ago. Things were calm. We have a restart, couple of lead changes. One truck almost gets spun around, and that's just on the first lap after the restart.
It's Johnny Sauter in front of Ty Dillon. Those 2 hugging that double yellow line on the bottom of the racetrack. Up top, 2 trucks trying to work together. Justin Lofton has the 9 of Ron Hornaday behind him. Those two worked together at the beginning of the race and were able to get out in front of this field. Let's see if it works again.
They're going to try. I'll guarantee you Ron Hornaday is going to get up on the tailgate and push that 6 truck of Justin Lofton.
They made it work earlier. It didn't work this last lap by, and it looks like Lofton's really squirrely with Hornaday on him right now.
Trying to hold his line. You see that bottom line moving around. It looks as though Justin Lofton sees that a little uneasy. Now they're hanging the 98 out to dry. The 3 of Ty Dillon makes the pass. He goes by and takes the lead.
And the 51 of Kyle Busch goes with him. And look at the lead. Oh, look at Hornaday down on the apron.
Hornaday has to go all the way down on the apron. He's able to catch it.
Come on, cautious out, cautious out. Outside, outside.
And a truck sideways, and problems for Jason White. Once again, the right side tire's flat on that truck.
He's blown a right front tire, Rick, and got into the outside wall with his bubble truck. He's got it all bent up. His bubble has burst.
Yeah, tough break. He was still on the lead lap. Jason made his way through that incident.
Intensity level is picking up.
Well, I mean, we just came off caution.
We just got off of a caution.
Can't we just run a couple laps, get our wits about us again? Why do we have to start doing all that stuff as soon as the green flag waves? And you know, they were saved by the caution there. Ron Hornaday had been turned sideways down off the racetrack.
Third caution comes out this time. It's the 93 of Jason White with issues. Welcome back. Daytona International Speedway. We have 64 laps in the books, 36 remaining. It's time for our AT&T race break. Let's get you caught up on what has taken place early in this one. It's Ty Dillon who got a little shove from defending series champion James Buescher and grabbed the lead.
What a great move by Dillon, too. He took a chance, went high, got the right push, and grabbed the lead.
Your first caution, Scott Riggs and the BTS tire service truck loses the motor, and then Darrell Wallace Jr. misses his pit, tries to turn back out to pit road to go back around, and makes contact with our champion James Buescher.
He's past the halfway point, the big one on the backstretch. The 62 of Brendan Gaughan trying to put that truck in between two rookies, and it didn't work out.
Yeah, a lot of trucks sustained some pretty significant damage.
14 trucks involved in that incident. So we'll re-rack the field, get ready for the green flag again inside of 36 laps to go. Welcome back. First race of the season, and already some melee on the racetrack.
Already.
This caution for the 93. Jason White having some issues in turn number 4. A few trucks made it onto pit road. Let's get an update. We start with Ray.
Well, we'll start with Ty Dillon. He came down to get a little bit of gas. Coming in before that last caution, they were about 5 laps short of making it, so they stuffed it full of gas. But the 51 of Kyle Busch actually beat him off of pit road. They say right now they're good to go for 1 green, white, checkered, and probably 2 if we were to need it. Hermie?
Well, Ray, the 98 of Sauter has been to pit road, the 32 of Paluto, and the 30 of Truex all on pit road for fuel. The 31 of Buescher just came in on this lap because they just got inside of their pit window. Bob?
The 13 of Tom Bodine came down and topped off his fuel, as did the 29 of Ryan Blaney. I spoke to his crew chief, Doug Randolph, and I said, are you good to go? He said, we're good to go. If we have 3 green, white, checker finishes, I'm going to be a little bit worried, but we should be good for 2.
I'm gonna be a little bit worried if we have 3 of them as well.
Yeah, well, we ran 9 extra laps last year. This 100-lap race turned into 109 laps.
Look who's surfaced at the front of this pack. We talked about his practice yesterday, how he liked the way he could move from the back to the front of the field. Now Tom Bodine sitting in the lead.
I'm not sure he can make it. We're showing him pitting on lap number 59. I'm not sure you can go 41 laps even with the help of these few caution laps.
These caution laps are definitely helping. See Kyle Busch pulling to the outside of Bodine.
Bob, what's the story on that 13 truck?
I asked Jared Pierce, his crew chief, and he said, we are completely good to go. We have a very strong truck here today. No adjustments on either stop. Remember, no tires on the first stop for Tom Bodine, but they took 4 tires the second time by, and then they topped off for fuel. So they believe they're good to go.
We've seen some good pushes from that high line on these restarts, Rick. You could see Matt Crafton right behind Kyle Busch. Wouldn't be surprised to see those two trucks hooked together and maybe put something on Todd Bodine. That's Dakota Armstrong behind Bodine. Will he be able to give him the push?
Todd Bodine, two-time winner here at Daytona in the trucks. On his outside, Kyle Busch has never won in the Truck Series at Daytona. Those two rocket down into turn number 1.
Here comes Crafton. He's going to get on the back of that 51 truck, and they're going to motor toward the front.
I think Todd would have loved for Kyle Busch to have jumped down in between he and Dakota Armstrong, but there wasn't room.
Todd Bodine running that bottom line way up the racetrack, actually quite a few feet off the double yellow line through 1 and 2.
Yeah, he went up and side drafted the truck of Kyle Busch, took some of that momentum away. Todd getting a little aggressive, wanting to hold on to that lead, got the Dakota Armstrong right on his tailgate.
88 pushing the 51 as they go into turn 3.
About Dakota Armstrong pushing the 13. You don't want to be down on the left rear pushing.
Whoa.
And now that top line starts to check up as they drop back.
Look at all that movement going on back in the back of the pack. They're 3 wide in the tri-oval. That rarely works out well.
It's amazing how much ground the 51 of Kyle Busch and the 88 of Crafton lost.
That Dakota Armstrong truck really gave Todd Bodine a strong push through turns 3 and 4, and they drove away from those trucks. Looks like Crafton's getting back on the back. Did you hear that truck out of the gas? Ryan Blaney was coasting through that corner. Must have had his hands full.
So Bodine out in front. He's got Dakota Armstrong tucked in right behind him. Here comes that outside line now.
It looks like the 88 of Crafton is pushing a little water out.
Well, he's also pushing a big truck out. He's pushing him out toward the front.
See the water coming out?
You can see a little steam coming out at the base of the windshield of that 88. He can't push for much longer.
No, I'd get off of him. You can't risk blowing your engine up at this point in the race, and you see a lot of water coming out of the thing. You can only run hot so long, it'll blow up.
And the beginning of the season. Here's a driver that definitely wants to run for a championship, and Matt Crafton. He's got to get off that back bumper of Kyle Busch. Get some air into that radiator. Todd Bodine continues to lead on the bottom of the racetrack. 60 of Dakota Armstrong tucked in behind.
If I'm Matt Crafton's spotter, I'm going to say, make sure you see your temperatures, bud. We're seeing some water on the grill. You can see pulled away from Kyle Busch. We're going to pull that thing down. Water wasn't coming out of it anymore. That means one of two things. It cooled down a little bit, or it doesn't have any more water.
Now it's pushing it out again a little bit.
Still a little bit more steam. Right.
Ty Dillon's grandfather, Richard Childress, came on the radio and said, do not push the 88. The 88 is really tight on the 51, and anytime there's 3 of them making contact, that's never good, so don't push him.
How about Jeb Burton there running 3rd on the inside line behind Dakota Armstrong?
Oh, there goes Blaney again.
Off the throttle again. Remember, his truck was really loose. They put 4 tires on it.
It looked like an instant replay of before.
Take another look. Yeah, no place to go for that 29 of Blaney. He has to duck almost down below the double yellow line.
So fortunate there was an opening down there on the bottom.
Let's keep our eye on that 29 truck. Anytime you're backing off the gas, exiting the corner with no one up against the back of you, that's a handful. You can't stay in this draft and hang on to one that loose.
29 laps of racing to go. They cross the stride. Todd Bodine out in front of Dakota Armstrong. Jeff Burton in the 4 has tucked into 3rd on that bottom line. And Kyle Busch trying to make the outside line work now. Monday, get the ultimate Daytona recap on the hub. Steve Burns and Daniel Trotta welcome the newest Daytona 500 champ. Plus, we'll break down all the greatest moments from an incredible weekend of racing. NASCAR Race Hub Monday at 6 Eastern, right here on Speed. Beautiful pictures coming from our DirecTV blimp. If you call yourself a sports fan, you've got to get DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV.
Things look really similar right now. There's a bunch of trucks running side by side, but boy, did we miss some stuff while we were away at break.
What about there's 12 less trucks and exactly the same amount of action. Watch out. Watch what happens through the tri-oval here. A push gone bad. We saw Kyle Busch making ground on the outside with Matt Crafton pushed him. Dakota Armstrong heats up the pushing on Todd Bodine, and Todd all but crashes right into Kyle Busch's lap.
Great heads-up move by Kyle Busch, as well as Matt Crafton, although it cost Matt Crafton the draft. But it was either that or lose a truck, probably. Watch this.
2 wide. He's getting a heavy push outside of us here. Hang on, bud. Hang on. Hold her straight. You're good. You're good. Clear low.
Don't tell me me I'm good. I was just sideways at 190 miles. I'm not good at all.
I can't even breathe. You're telling me I'm good.
Who are you trying to convince I'm good? I'm having a heart attack. And that's the way you feel as a driver. You survive those moments, but they scar you. Your emotions go wild. You understand that that was so close to ending your chance at winning this race at Daytona.
And now that 13 running in the second position. Bob?
Todd Bodine has said nothing on the radio so far. And honestly, everybody up on top of this box, the car chief, Rich Lucis, as well as the crew chief, Jared Prince, they didn't see it because they don't have a monitor to watch the race. We just showed them when you guys showed the replay, and you should have seen their reaction. They are very proud of their driver in that 13 truck.
Todd never backed off.
No.
That whole thing, he moved 2 lanes and never backed off.
Well, I could hear the crowd below us over the engine noise oohing and ahhing over what they thought was fixing to be a major crash. And only a guy that's won here at Daytona a couple of times and a former champion like Todd Bodine could have ever saved that truck.
We're on lap 77, and here is a very interesting statistic. No driver who has ever led lap 77 at Daytona in the truck race has gone on to win this race. So is that unfortunate for Kyle Busch, or does that graphic go away?
I don't know, Rick.
We're going to find out in 23 laps.
Don't make me think about things that don't matter right now.
Maybe 23 laps.
Potentially 23 laps. Kyle Busch is your race leader. He has Todd Bodine behind him. Dakota Armstrong tucked in there, and Justin Lofton gets shuffled into the center and hangs on.
Well, there's been some incredible saves during this race.
And the caution has come out. They'll start to slow back down. Problem on the backstretch.
And you can't just keep saving them. It's impossible. The way these trucks are rubbing on each other and pushing trucks sideways, you can't get lucky but so long.
Fourth caution comes out. Jennifer Jo Cobb in the 10, already down on the apron.
This is going to be a little bit of insurance for the guys that want to stay out and try to make it on fuel. Watch this.
4 wide.
Contact between the 98 of Johnny Sauter, the 6 of Justin Lofton.
Justin was trying to get in a lane that wasn't there, and it almost caused him a crash. But heck, you're close to 4 wide. I guess you better do something, right?
I'm not sure we can go 5 wide here, can we?
I don't think so. Only at Martinsville every now and
then. Jeff Agnew in the 27 will get the free pass.
Pit road was closed that time. We'll see if guys come in and top off here next time around.
We will get you up to date on all of the action taking place on pit road when we come back. The 2013 NASCAR season is underway. Get in on all the action with Fox Fantasy Racing. Pick your team of 5 drivers and challenge your friends for cash prizes. Go to foxsports.com/fantasy racing and sign up now. How about our auto stop fastest pit stop? Just for men, the 3 team. Very impressive run getting that truck back off of pit road first.
We saw that truck last year doing major work on pit road. Those guys really get that truck out. Gonna get out first. Great job by the RCR guys.
Package full of fuel, right side tires for the 3 of Ty Dillon. Gets him back out onto the racetrack quicker than anyone else in our Just for Men auto stop fastest pit stop.
Look at those headlights on those guys' helmets so they can look inside those wheels and make sure they're able to change the tires as quickly as possible. And look how that pit stop is choreographed. The team let the jack down, but Ty knew to sit there, and when it was full, they sent him on his way.
We'll put them all back in line. Kyle Busch is your race leader with under 20 laps to go. There'll be 19 laps to go in the NextEra Energy Resources 250, presented by DirecTV. Pace truck has its flashing lights out on the top. He will take the hard left turn. Randy Kaiser once again piloting that pace truck, and it's in the hands of Kyle Busch. He's on the inside. Todd Bodine on the outside. Green flag back in the air.
Going to be some pushing and shoving here to try to get the advantage. Looks like the inside line so far.
Dakota Armstrong on the back bumper of Kyle Busch. That inside line moving.
We saw Dakota push Todd Bodine to the lead, but he also pushed him sideways in the tri-oval. Jeb Burton was right behind Todd Bodine and didn't give him the shove. And look what it cost him. Man, when you take off on these restarts, you better be pushing or you're going to be left behind.
Already have 3 lanes. You see James Busher, Matt Crafton lined up on the outside.
Todd Bodine in that middle line trying to make it work. Got some help behind him, but then one of the trucks ducks out of line. So 2 trucks trying to work in that second line. In front, looking strong, Kyle Busch, Dakota Armstrong, Ron Hornaday, Austin Dillon, Johnny Sauter. They're your top 5.
Todd Bodine, Jeb Burton lined up there on the outside. Todd was side drafting off that Cooper Standard Ford of Brian Blaney.
Running along with Bodine.
We've seen that truck get sideways right there in that part of the track. Look at it wiggle around there. Ryan Blaney's having a hard time keeping that truck straight.
There's Darrell Wallace Jr., the 54 truck right behind him.
How's it been on the radio, Bob?
It's been a learning experience for Ryan Blaney, 19 years old. His spotter, Joey Meyer, asked him, can you get up and push the truck in front of you? He said simply, I don't know.
Well, he's got his hands full, Bob.
Yeah.
That thing is dancing all over the place. So if he tries to start pushing with him having to correct that truck, he'll just spin the guy out that he's trying to push. So he doesn't need to try it yet, or at all, maybe.
Herbie, how about James Busher back in the 31? They tried to make that outside line work. What are they talking about on the radio?
Yeah, really struggling to try to get back to the front of the pack, Rick, and they had a plan for the 31 and the 88 to get together on this restart, but the 32 jumped up in front of the 31 and really caused them some problems. So now Busher is going to try to get up through the middle and try to get back to the front. So the plan with him in the 88 did not work so far.
How about the run that the 88 of Matt Crafton had? We saw him jet up through the middle, move up to that outside line. Now it's 3 wide here at Daytona.
Look at him dancing around.
A lot of movement.
That was Jeb Burton sideways off turn 4.
Right. 16 laps to go.
This isn't going to work, guys.
No.
It just isn't going to work.
How about Max Gresham there in that battle right behind the 4 of Jeb Burton? He was in that big wreck with a lot of damage, and he's racing in the lead lap.
Look at the move that the 88 had just about a lap and a half ago.
Whipped it right to the center, pulled alongside Busher, drove up beside Pluto.
Looked like Pluto got out of the throttle there a little bit, didn't it?
88's going to come inside us now. Inside.
And look at him live.
Inside. When you see the 17, I want you to come down. When you see him, 1 lane, come on.
You can see live there, Matt Crafton again trying to make that outside work.
Teammates working together now. Johnny Sauter in front of Todd Bodine.
What happened to Crafton? He's got a flat tire.
Got a flat tire.
We got a flat tire on the 88.
Flat tire.
Looks like a
Get the pit road that time, Junior.
If it's down that bad, Phil, and he tries to go that fast, it'll blow out and tear that truck to pieces.
Kyle Busch back there in 3rd now in the 51.
Great move by the teammates to get around Kyle Busch. Right rear's flat on the 88.
The other teammate very disappointed in the 88 of Matt Crafton.
Well, this tire is going to blow. You can't go that fast.
Remember, Johnny Sauter had the lead on a green-white checker, got turned into the outside wall 1 year ago.
Jeb Burton's leading that outside line. He's been tucked on the bottom line, and we've seen him sideways a couple times. It's a little bit tougher, Phil, to drive a truck in the middle of the racetrack. It wants to be a little bit freer up there, and he couldn't stand a little bit freer a couple of times tonight.
So again, the inside line has Sauter, Todd Bodine, Kyle Busch, Dakota Armstrong, and Hornaday. Jeb Busch also down there on the bottom of the racetrack.
Jeb Busch.
Jeb Busch. Excuse me. Jeb Burton.
Jeb Busch is sitting at home at the mansion and saying,
wait a second.
Whoa. You know, I was just thinking, I volunteered to be out here in the middle of this mess a couple years ago. Don't ever, if I say I'm going to run another one of these truck races at Daytona, tell me I'm crazy.
You just stay up here with us.
I don't even feel like I said safe up here. This is amazing action.
Close one there for the 31.
Not sure they didn't make some contact.
Jeff Agnew looked like he came down on that 31. Everyone stays the straight, or trying to go straight.
They know right now with the laps running out, 14 to go, now 13 as they cross the line. It's time to make something happen.
Ray, what happened with the 88?
Well, tire blew apart on the right side, and obviously they're thinking this is a championship team. Matt Crafton was in the back for a while. Ooh. He went to the middle, but now he's a couple laps down.
There's a couple of times when I didn't think Ryan Blaney could save his truck. Matt Crafton might be the safest guy in Daytona right now. He's a lap down, but he's all by himself down in turn 1 and 2, and this pack is scrambling right now. 3 wide.
Coming up on the final 12 laps of racing from Daytona. At least the final 12 scheduled laps.
See Timothy Peters leading the pack on the outside, the 3rd lane. At the very outside has James Busher, the 31 behind him.
No one's been able to make anything happen up in that 3rd lane. You've got to be on the bottom or in the middle. Nothing up to the high side 3 wide has worked so far.
We'll see if 2 trucks try to do the tandem and make it work, pushing themselves to the front. At the beginning of the race, we saw it happen. Busher still continuing to make that 2nd line work. Trying to get that pack to move up and challenge for the lead. They're all lined up on the bottom of the racetrack now through about the top 12.
See Ross Chastain, the 13th place truck, the 19. But I believe he's the last truck single file. Then they're side by side beside him. Now they've lost even a little bit more ground.
And remember, Are You Faster Than a Redneck follows us right here on Speed at the conclusion of this truck race.
Believe it or not, with 11 laps to go, this is about as calm as it's been.
Together, Kyle Busch, Dakota Armstrong, Ron Hornaday, they're your top 5.
I think Kyle Busch is pretty confident where he's sitting right now. He thinks he can get a run, I bet, and Dakota Armstrong will go with him. They've had success. So if I'm Kyle, I don't think there's any reason to pull out right now. If I'm behind Dakota Armstrong going back and I got somebody that'll work with me and I'm confident of that, then I'm going to make my move before a couple of laps to go, Rick. I need some more time than that to get there.
Guys, remember, Johnny Sauter's been out in front here for 7 laps. The last 3 years, the most laps a winner has led was 6 in that race.
We got a couple of them teaming up on the high side, making some ground. Is that Ryan Truex with a torn up truck with a push from,
looks like
James Busher?
James Busher back there trying to get that outside line still working.
Look at those guys go.
Got a little bit of momentum right now.
The teammates have the momentum, working their way to the front. Look at how much movement that 30 truck has of Ryan Truex.
It wasn't sanitary, but they almost got there.
There's 3 Turner Scott trucks now on the outside. Miguel Paludo joins that battle.
Working their way down the backstretch once again. Out in front, Johnny Sauter, Todd Bodine, Kyle Busch is 3rd. That 2nd line backing up once again. Now Busher moves to the outside, leaves Ryan Truex in the middle. He has Miguel Paludo behind him, and around they go. Ryan Truex goes around.
I think Ryan Truex had a tire go flat.
Yeah, it started smoking there, and he was trying to get out of that pack. See Ross Chastain, the 19 truck involved.
We saw the 30.
What a
get loose, get wild. The 17 of Timothy Peters involved in this. A lot of damage to the front of that truck.
What a restart this is going to be, fellas.
The 5th caution comes out at Daytona, closing in on the final laps. And now the strategy will come into play.
You see the 30 of Ryan Truex. He's trying to get out of the way. I think you see that left rear tire is flat. John King does a nice job getting by, and then it just loses control.
Well, you see the tread come off the tire all the way down. Ryan did an amazing job keeping that thing straight for ever so long, but then finally the tire went all the way away.
See the damage on the 7 of John West Townley as well as the 17 of Timothy Peters. They really had a run going, and then he felt that tire going down, doing his best. Look at the inside line. They're just jammed up there, nowhere to go.
What about the job that James Busher did, recognizing that that 30 truck wasn't running right, and he was able to skip to the outside of Truex and kept from being a part of that accident.
Another look.
Ross Chastain just barely got a piece of that.
Had a left rear tire go down. I wonder if if someone rubbed into the left side of him. You can see all the damage on that truck, Phil, and when there's damage, there could have been something that rubbed that tire and it finally just went down.
Yeah, quite possible. Right now that tire is flat. You see him trying to get down to the bottom of the racetrack, but the line is just Just too thick with trucks.
What about John King? He did an amazing job slipping by that baby, as did Ryan Sieg. Look at Sieg go by, and there's Agnew. All those guys taking evasive action and making it through.
The 7 of John West Townley got into the back of the 17 of Timothy Peters, shoved him into the 30. So you see a lot of damage to the front of the 7, a lot of damage to the 17 of Timothy Peters. One more look. This is why we're under our 5th caution at Daytona. Laps winding down. There'll be less than 5 when we restart. Right after this race, at the conclusion, you're going to go and see John Reed, star of Are You Faster Than a Redneck? He's got his mullet mafia pitting against the, as he calls them, punks with the imports. 3-round battle for $10,000 paycheck. Are You Faster Than a Redneck? Coming up next right after the truck race.
We had teammates running nose to tail. Now they're side by side. You see Bodine on the outside, Johnny Sauter on the inside. Then we've got Dakota Armstrong behind Bodine, Kyle Busch behind Johnny Sauter. A couple Chevrolets back there. Ty Dillon on the outside. Ron Hornaday in the 9 truck on the inside. Pace Coulter, Justin Lofton. 5 to go, Rick.
Back off the racetrack. 5 laps of racing to go. Johnny Sauter, Todd Bodine.
Oh, Dakota Armstrong missed a shift there. Didn't get going with Todd Bodine. That's going to be costly for that outside lane.
Inside line moving. Top 4 trucks.
Ty Dillon was able to get down to the bottom, but now it looks like Armstrong has tied to the back of Bodine. See if they can rally. We watched a couple of trucks just a bit ago. James Buescher and Ryan Truex make a big run up the outside, so we know it's there if they can make it work.
Todd Bodine's going to try to make that outside line work. He's in front of that second line. Down on the bottom of the racetrack, Johnny Sauter has Kyle Busch behind him. Kyle Busch has been second in this race 2 times and has never won in his 4 previous starts.
This dude mentioned that Matt Crafton got the free pass, back on the lead lap now.
Now he's just got to figure out how to get through this mess.
4 laps of racing to go.
Look at Todd Bodine falling through the back of the pack in the middle by himself.
They spread out. Bodine continues to fall back through the field.
What a helpless feeling that is. Todd was starting on that front row. Armstrong didn't get going, and look what it cost him, Phil. He's going to be back outside the top 20 when he stops falling.
Norm Benning going by on the inside. Matt Crafton going by on the inside.
What about started second, and Todd Bodine drops almost all the way to the back of the pack.
What about our man Norm right there in the lead pack battling late in the race? Look at that 3-truck breakaway. If they can stay tied together like that, I guarantee it, Kyle Busch believes he can put the move on Johnny Sauter on this last lap.
Thor Sport trucks working together on the high side of the racetrack. Matt Crafton just in front of Todd Bodine.
See Todd trying to push him, going by Norm Benning. There's Norm in the inside. There's James Buescher in the middle. It's time to forget about looking at the water temperature gauge with 3 laps to go.
Look at them squeeze to the outside of Coulter. These 2 trucks are tied together, making up a lot of ground right now.
They've got a long way to go as well. 3 laps of racing, under 3 to go. Out in front, Johnny Sauter, Kyle Busch, Hornaday, Lofton, Burton, your top 5. Trying to get in line. We talk about the calm before the storm. Moving into turn number 3. Next time by, 2 to go.
It's amazing how much patience Kyle Busch has shown this entire race.
Don't get too far out ahead of them off of 2 down here. Still got another 2 laps. 2 laps. Needs a little push here. Don't let him push you out there.
2 laps to go. Johnny Sauter's best finish at Daytona, 17th. Trying to make it to victory lane at Daytona.
Remember now who he was leading at the restart of a green-white checker. Got turned into the outside wall.
Finds himself right up front again this year. Look at these trucks starting to group up. They're bouncing all over the place.
The Thor Sport trucks working that outside line. When will be the time to make your move?
Remember, if we get to the white flag, then there will be no green-white checker.
Coming out of 3 and 4. Here comes the Thor Sport trucks on the high side, trying to make that 2-truck tandem work. Now, Austin Dillon makes the move to the outside. Here they come to the white flag.
Keep your eye on the 51. Don't get too far out ahead.
No green-white checker.
White flag in the air.
Oh, they crashed.
Crash behind them.
Just go with it.
The caution is going to come out. It looks as though Johnny Sauter is going to win this race at Daytona.
Wow.
Can't be, we won.
He's not sure. He's still waiting for confirmation. But the white flag was taken. After the white flag's taken, the next flag determines the end of the race. And the celebration begins. Johnny Sauter is going to win at Daytona.
How about a little redemption for Johnny Sauter after last year?
How about Kyle Busch? Another second place finish in this race, his third one.
3 times Kyle Busch has finished second in this race. Johnny Sauter goes from a best finish of 17th, and he will be the winner at Daytona.
Right here, baby. Good job, guys. Good job. I'm proud of you guys, man. We were on this one. We won at Daytona.
Nothing like winning
Just
at
as
Daytona.
you mentioned, we were owed this one.
And he got it, too.
It doesn't matter if you're driving a truck or a car. There's nothing like winning at Daytona.
He changed the number. He went from number 13 to number 98, and he ends up in victory lane.
Johnny Sauter kicks off the 2013 season with a win at the Mecca of Motorsports.
See Ron Hornaday, the 9 truck, pulling into the outside of him to congratulate him. Great job by Hornaday with a 3rd place finish.
Jeb Burton survives for a 5th place finish.
And again, they just took the white flag. The leader took the white flag, and Jeff Agnew in the 27 gets down on the apron, shoots back up the racetrack.
Yeah, James Buescher got in the back of him, turned him down to the apron.
NASCAR, no choice but to throw the caution. You got trucks sliding sideways in the middle of the track. And when you have that situation, you've got to have safety. And the trucks had crossed the start-finish line. Kyle Busch, I think, was licking his chops, thinking he had Johnny Sauter right where he wanted him. And the caution flies.
And people may ask, well, wait a minute, they were way out of the way as that start-finish line, but the safety has to get to these trucks
There you go. You got
as quickly as they can. That's the reason the caution comes out.
Keep coming. Caution's out.
Saw the bump.
They got the
James Buescher.
And the crew's reaction. They see the yellow flag come out. They know that Johnny Sauter is headed to victory lane at Daytona. The most prestigious racetrack in all of stock car racing, some would say in the world.
And Rick, also, just think about it. You can't have those trucks barreling back down to the checkered flag with a crash in the tri-oval. The race had to, the caution flag had to fly when it did because those trucks were disabled, setting just across the start-finish line. You can't send 20 trucks racing out.
We talked about it. If they got to the white flag, there would be no green-white checker.
Look at how this yellow smoke to start off with. He's burning the paint right off of the bottom of this racetrack.
What a great job by Johnny Sauter. An off season last year, even though he won 2 times, swept both races at Texas, but he comes in here looking to make 2013 his year.
It is the 7th career win for Johnny Sauter, and I would guess this will be his biggest win of his career.
What about that rebound by, talk about championships, and maybe this Thor Sport team rebounds from a devastating 2012. Matt Crafton out of the picture with 10 to go, gets a top 10 finish. So Thor Sport really strong.
Let's go back down to Bob.
Ryan Truex A-OK after that wreck. Tough break because you guys had a whole head of steam running. You guys look good.
Yeah, I gotta, for anything, I gotta thank Bass Pro Shops, Turner Scott Motorsports. Man, I got in that first wreck there. I had it, I was good, I was missing it, and I got pushed into it. And these guys did an awesome job of getting it back together. And me and James were going to the front there. He gave me a heck of a push. And, man, I got a flat tire somehow in the backstretch. I went down the whole backstretch, back and forth, and you know, I tried to get to the middle to get James to go around me so I could go to the back. And by the time I got in the corner, I just stood on it, and then I got hit from the left, hit from the right. Nothing I can do about it, but man, we had a chance to win it, and it just sucks it had to end that way.
Tough break for Ryan Truex.
Disappointment for Ryan Truex.
You know, the stat that kind of got on my nerves there with 77 laps to go because he was nervous about the
lap
racing.
77.
And oh yeah, on lap 77, the leader at lap 77 was Kyle Busch, and he didn't win. So we have to go through another year of Russell aggravating us about that.
That's a good point.
And how about Toyota winning the last 7 in a row, and Chevrolet still hasn't got to victory lane here at Daytona?
Let's hear from the Toyota driver. Standing by with Ray.
Well, another second place for Kyle Busch here at Daytona. You had him set up. It looked like it was going to be your day, but the yellow came out and it just couldn't happen. Tell us about your thoughts about a pretty good day for the 51.
We'd have a really good day if it was a 100-lap race, but it was only 99 today. So, man, I hate how that happens. You know, you get crashed here and taking the white flag, and then you can't get a chance to bring it back, you know. So this Toyota Care Tundra, though, was awesome. All the guys on this KBM team did a great job. Just phenomenal being able to build 3 trucks really quick to get us out here. And, you know, I appreciate them being able to help us qualify up near the front, top Toyota, and to be able to come out here in the race and run strong like that and be in position all night. I mean, shoot, I think the worst I felt was 4th, 5th, or 6th, something like that. But, man, just I wish we could pull off a win here in a truck race. It's the only one I'm missing. I got ARCA, Nationwide, and Cup at Daytona. Have yet to get a truck win. So, try again next time.
He puts him right in that position, just didn't pull it off tonight. But, guys, Johnny Sauter getting the win for Toyota. It'll be their 100th win in Camping World Truck Series racing.
Ram, guts, and glory. For the guts part, we've got to go back a year. Johnny Sauter out in front of the field. The final laps, gets wrecked. Tonight, it's different. He crosses the stripe for the white flag. A wreck happens behind him. He will head to victory lane. And let's go there now with Hermie Sadler.
Johnny Sauter climbs out. This Toyota, as Ray said, 100th win for Toyota in the Camping World Truck Series. 7th in a row here at Daytona. Johnny talking to his guys. Victory lane at Daytona. Do I need to say anything else?
I'm just so proud of this team. Thank Duke and Ron Thorson and Mike Kerb. You know, we came so close a year ago, and that was a tough one to swallow. And, you know, just tonight seemed to be about track position. I thought we were in big trouble there. We were like 14th there with 30 to go, and I thought, man, we're just not going to be able to get there. But, you know, when the good Lord's in your corner, he's in your corner. So just can't thank Carolina Nut Company enough, Curb Records, Seal Master, everybody that's part of this deal. My LaJoy seat was flawless tonight. You know, it's just, you know, Toyota's 100th win, I think, in the Truck Series, so that's big. I'm speechless right now. You know, it's so much luck to win around here, and to be able to put it all together was big. Thank TRD, Toyota, Triad Racing Engines, just, you know, everybody that's a part of this. It's, I can't believe I'm in victory lane at Daytona.
I want to talk real quickly. You guys made a decision on the line to get into, which is crew chief. Tell me how that went down.
Well, I mean, it was obvious that, you know, I wanted to be with Todd. I mean, Todd did a great job and quite frankly helped me win this race. All the ThorSport trucks are great tonight, and I just felt like I had a better shot with the 51 behind us and the 3 truck behind him. So just thank the good Lord, thank Blessed Mother, thank everybody. Thank you.
It's Johnny Sauter. Back to the booth.
Thank you, Hermie. Pretty impressive run, not only for Johnny Sauter, but how about guys like Ron Hornaday, Justin Lofton? We look at our DirecTV unofficial results.
Well, Jeb Burton and Ryan Blaney were sideways more than they were straight, and both of them held onto those trucks and finished in the top 10. Great run.
Ryan Sieg gets a top 10 finish here at Daytona. Darrell Wallace Jr., his first ever Truck Series start, finishes 12th.
How about Todd Bodine, rebounding from restarting second, dropped all the way back to the back of the field, and then he was able to work his way back up to 11th.
Like Johnny Sauter said, those ThorSports trucks were fast tonight.
And we saw the video when Johnny Sauter was being pushed by Todd Bodine to the lead. That's what got him to victory lane.
A lot of these trucks that we're looking at were involved in the lap 54 incident that took place on the racetrack. Brendan Newberry starting out the 2013 season with a 33rd place finish. Celebration, though, in victory lane. Who's going to get to victory lane, and are you faster than a redneck, which is coming up next on the trucks?
Well, if it's the way Lord meant it, I know what
that's right.
It could be American muscle.
I don't know. I know what John Reap's thinking, at least.
That is coming up next. Are you faster than a redneck? But impressive start for Johnny Sauter. Does this put him in a better position and maybe even the strongest competitor for this title this year?
Well, I think so. I think you got to look at Johnny Sauter and say he survived one of the biggest crapshoots of the year at Daytona and won the race. Plus, last year he had a lot of speed, a lot of problems along the way, but speeds on the 1.5 miles is what was the key to James Buescher capturing the championships in 2012. Johnny Sauter, 2 big wins in 2012 on the 1.5 miles, and he starts with a big one here at Daytona.
And we have a bunch of 1.5 miles on our schedule, so it should be a great year for Johnny Sauter.
We talked about the young drivers drivers making a name for themselves, but in the end, tonight it was a veteran who was able to claim victory at one of the most prestigious tracks in all the world. Johnny Sauter gets to victory lane at Daytona International Speedway. Now coming up, are you faster than a redneck?